The meeting is now being recorded. As you can see, it is now being recorded. So we are on. Okay. Yesterday when we stopped, we were discussing DRI, right? We will continue with it in the cargo work session. We will continue with it. DRI, direct reduced iron, or rather directly reduced iron. So as we have understood, the normal question will be the precautions and hazards involved in planning for stowage and load and discharge of DRI cargo. That is a normal question which we figure. And now let us continue with our discussion. So today we will start with how the DRI is produced. DRI banta kaise? We are going to talk about it for some time and then proceed on to the precautions, etc. Okay? Give me a minute. Please confirm the shared screen is visible. Should we?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So DRI is a product which is produced by the reduction of iron ore or other iron bearing materials in the solid state by using coking coal or non-coking coal or natural gas. Natural gas could be obtained from any uh, refinery, etc., used as a circulation to start reducing iron ore to what is called direct reduction of DRI or direct reduction of iron, and that is called the direct reduction process. The reducing agents could be carbon monoxide, hydrogen, etc., coming from the reformed natural gas. This can be produced or can be recirculated from a refinery, etc., where this will be a byproduct. It is not wasted, it is still used to produce DRI. So, oxygen is removed from the iron ore by chemical reactions, and then you have a production of highly materialized DRI. Direct reduction process is there. Solid metallic iron, Fe, the chemical symbol, is obtained directly from solid iron ore without subjecting the ore to metal or the metal to fusion. So it is not melted. It is done by a direct reduction process without melting the product, melting the iron itself. So solid state में जब reduction हो रहा है to remove the oxygen and allow reduction of iron oxides also. Some other oxides may be present apart from iron ore. You may have MnO, magnesium oxide, silicon oxide, etc. All this are refined, or I can use the word refined because we are interested in the end product, which is reduced iron ore. So all these have got iron oxides which are reduced, or oxygen is removed from them, and that is why it is called reduction process. But they are done at a low thermodynamic activity below the melting point, so they are not fused. It is done in the solid state itself. Just as a background, I thought you may be interested in DRI banta kaise. Now, DRI is porous by structure because oxygen has been removed from it, so it will leave some gaps inside the structure of the iron, and that will cause porous structure. Now, this is something like the porous structure is something like sponge. So, of course, the network of pores is connecting to each other, but the pores result in large internal surface area, because as we have removed the oxygen, pores have been created, so the structural internal surface area increases. So we know that DRI is produced in many forms because yesterday we saw it has three categories. DRI-A, DRI-B, and DRI-C, and all of them are different in appearance as well as in reactivity. Give me a minute, let me show you again, once again. This way. Briquettes, pellets, byproduct fines. This is how they appear. This is how they look like. Okay, go back. So what is happening is that the metallic form of the iron which is being reduced contains two elements or two metallic forms. One is iron and the other one is Fe with oxygen, iron with oxygen. So this residual form of iron with oxygen is the one of concern to get the oxygen out of it using chemical reactions. The total iron is a sum of these two. So the conversion of iron oxides into metallic iron, using maybe carbon as cementite or oxygen removal is the process of reduction of iron to form DRI, which can be in pellets, solid lumps, or maybe fine byproduct like powder. This is how it goes. Better is this one. Direct reduction process. This is the flow chart. Iron ore is being fed like pellets or lumps into the preparation part, or feedstock preparation, or the what you call the raw material preparation, if it can be called that. Iron ore in form of pellets or lumps is being fed into the feedstock or the ore preparation. Then it goes to the reduction furnace. Reduction furnace, you have natural gas coming in, and this is going into the reduction furnace. Natural gas could be, the ones which we saw, for example, a byproduct from a furnace or from a refinery, and it's being used here to cause this reduction. Also, you can have non-coking oil as a material or as an element to do this process, either production of by natural gas or by non-coking coal. Then this is fed into the reduction furnace. Of course, reduction furnace will have the input from the natural gas, non-coking oil, and also from the raw material, which is called the iron ore, is also coming here. Now it is getting reduced, but it is going to lead into production of either hot briquetting or cold briquetting. The end result, if it is hot briquetting, then it is resulting in HBI, and direct reduced iron is a part of cold briquetting. And you have the end product as a material which has no oxygen or oxygen has been removed from it. So that is why it is called reduced, because the oxygen level has been removed from it.
सर एक बार वो लास्ट स्लाइड वापस ओपन करेंगे?
जी ये लीजिए, ये लीजिए. This one?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is what I said. Somebody had made a suggestion. Hold on. uh, let's go slowly so that he can take screenshot. I think it's not a bad idea. But what is happening is that of course I will not know whether you are done with it. So this is the best method. If I move on and you feel then this is the best thing to do, kindly tell me to go back. I will do that. चलें आगे.
नहीं सर मैं लिख रहा हूँ सर एक मिनट
अच्छा
अभी
लिख रहे हैं. ओके 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 ओके. नो इशू.
डन सर थैंक
ओके जी, थैंक यू. We move on. Anybody else has a concern? I stop here or should I move on? अगर होगा तो बोलना. It's no problem. We can always come back. So this was just to give you an idea how the DRI is done. Now see, chemical reactions, production, etc. is not really our purview of the subject, but no harm in having a look. Reduction processes or reactions go like this. A review of 12th standard chemistry. C plus O2 is CO2, CO2 plus C is 2CO, carbon monoxide, 2 Fe2O3 plus CO, ये आ रहा है, COC यहाँ से आ गया, is resulting in Fe3O4 plus CO2. And of course CO2 you remove, but now if you see, this goes further on to come back this one, FeO plus CO. Carbon monoxide has been introduced in the iron oxide for reduction, and product is iron plus CO2. So oxygen has been removed and this is direct reduction product. Now here if you see at 5, this is what is called DRI, directly reduced iron. It is not having any oxygen component. CO2 is something which is released and maybe it is not used at all, and this is what is the end product, direct reduced iron without oxygen. Then of course there will be further cooling etc. done to get the end product cooled down, you know, which may be external water cooling system. Then the product is discharged from the kiln and screened and magnetically separated. DRI has got a content of iron. This gets magnetically attracted and clings to the separator. Now then the separated DRI is screened into two size fractions depending on the requirement and the kiln layout. It may be separated into size fractions, maybe plus 3 mm and minus 3 mm. So these are the products, and you get iron which is having no oxygen and it is called direct reduced iron. This is something to use coal, not really important, but just remember coal is also used to directly reduce. Please remember, really speaking, uh, how DRI is produced has never been asked in a paper, really. But I included this because I felt that you might be interested to have a look at how it is done. How is DRI produced? This is why I included it, but really a question has not figured as yet. It could figure, but as yet it has not figured how is DRI made. This has not been a subject of MMD paper or question paper. But I included it only for the reason I thought the candidates might be interested to at least have a look and get some idea how DRI is made. As I said, the questions which are going to figure or have figured are the precautions and hazards for the product to be carried on board, which we are going to have a look now. I mean, after we finish with this is where we move on. The precautions, hazards. के जी चले आगे. Zoom out if you want to take a screenshot or something. So, of course, what is the advantage of DRI to be used? This is used in scrap during steel making as scrap. Metallic residuals in scrap during steel making. So it is used as a product to be included for steel making. It is a manufactured product and is of uniform composition, uniform size and low sulfur phosphorus content as compared to scrap. So this is an advantage in case you want to use it for steel production. It has a low sulfur and phosphorus content. It is possible that it is used in a blast furnace. Then it improves the productivity of the blast furnace. Okay. So having had a look at the production part, let us move on to the precautions, etc. I think this is where we stopped also yesterday, this one. Weather precautions. So one very important factor is that this cargo has to be kept dry. Moisture not supposed to interact with the cargo at all. Open storage may be acceptable, but then if it is to be loaded into ships or transferred between ships, then precipitation should be avoided. All non-working hatches of the cargo spaces into which this cargo is loaded is to be kept closed. This is an important point, has to be mentioned in your answer. Weather precautions. Any non-working hatches of the cargo spaces. Kindly mute yourself. I can't locate it. Maybe you can do this one. Maybe. Hello. I think you got the hint to keep your mic muted because otherwise it will cause disturbance to other people. I agree you might get a phone call or something, or maybe you are trying to interact with somebody, but really it should not disturb others. So keep yourself muted. Okay. So we were talking of precautions to be taken. So one thing is weather precaution. It has to be kept dry, the cargo. Not only that the cargo is supposed to be kept dry, but also it is supposed to have a reference to any non-working hatches where cargo is to be loaded should be closed. Cargo load हो रहा है 1, 3 and 5 में, so in the 7 hatch 2, 6 and 7 should be kept closed if cargo is not being worked over there because the cargo space is supposed to be kept dry. So this is a precaution which is mentioned in IMSBC also. All non-working hatches to be kept closed during a period when the cargo is not being worked in that particular cargo compartment. So that is one precaution which has to be mentioned in your answer if you are answering the points to be precautions to be exercised while handling DRI cargo. So weather precaution. There has to be MSTS, certified MSTS
सर
coming
सर
from the ship.
एक बार ऊपर वाली स्लाइड खोलना,
Okay.
थोड़ा नीचे स्क्रॉल करना सर।
ये ठीक है?
हो गया सर, यू कैन स्क्रॉल डाउन।
Okay, okay. It's no problem. I think we are doing it correctly. This is the right way to do it. In case somebody is interested और उसने नोट नहीं किया या उसका स्क्रीनशॉट अभी पूरा नहीं हुआ, you have to just unmute and talk, and I can do it again, right? Otherwise, I cannot make out whether somebody is interested to take a screenshot or right. So this is the way we will go. I fully agree. I think we are now on track. Thanks to the guy who wrote that, it gave me a hint that maybe you guys are facing some problem. So whoever wrote that chat is okay with me. We will start. I think we have already started. Right now, very importantly, because this cargo has got some concerns, including weather precautions, shipper, the one who is going to provide the cargo, the shipper, is to provide with a certificate issued by a competent person recognized by National Administration of the Port of Loading, and he is to give all the details regarding the size of the cargo, the weather precautions to be taken. It is called MSDS, you are aware, right? MSDS, Material Safety Data Sheet. अच्छा एक बात है, it is not part of this slide, it is not part of this discussion, but in many places as we go along cargo work, you will come across the term which is called competent authority. This is competent person. इसको छोड़ दो. Competent person recognized by National Administration of the Port of Loading means wherever you are loading, let us say in Mumbai, suppose you are loading in Mumbai, then that particular port has recognized a laboratory or etc. who is supposed to be a competent laboratory, which will give you all the data. That is separate. But what I am saying is, what is competent authority? Any idea? Who is a competent authority? As the name suggests, authority means, a government body or something, authority. So, when in cargo work, as I said many times, you will come across this term, who is a competent authority? Now, competent authority is or can be one, the administration of the port where the loading is taking place. Get my point? Loading port की authority will be a competent or could be a competent authority. The loading port. He has got a port state that can become a competent authority. That is one. A competent authority could be the flag state of the vessel. जहाँ जो vessel में काम हो रहा है या जो vessel concerned है, उसका flag state can be a competent authority. दो हो गए. Two competent authorities we have recognized. It is an important thing I am talking to you because please remember this. This has been asked in an oral exam also. As I had said at the start of our sessions, oral का कोई separate class होगा नहीं. So whatever I can recall during the course of our discussion, I will point out to you कि which is coming from feedback from candidates कि ये question पूछा जा चुका है. So this question has figured in the oral exam. As you are aware, cargo work is a standalone function. इसका oral exam भी separate होता है. It is not clubbed with any other subject. It is a standalone. So I think it is function 3. Please correct me. Function 2. Okay. I stand corrected. Function 2. So function 2 is cargo work and it is standalone. उसके साथ और कुछ नहीं है, right? और इसका भी oral exam होता है. For chief mates. Sorry.
He is the competent authority, right?
नहीं, एक मिनट. What we were discussing अब. Okay, ठीक है. Competent authority has been asked in such a oral exam. This is what I said. So, three parties or three entities can be called competent authority. One, the authority or the port state of the loading port. Two, the flag state of the vessel, which is on which the operation is going on. दो हो गए. The third is the discharge port authority, जहाँ पे cargo discharge हो रहा. All these three are known as competent authorities and they can dictate the procedures to be followed. Okay.
Sir, discharge port authority means the posted control of discharge port,
Yes,
or
yes. Sorry, I intervened. Discharge port authority may be the port state of that particular port where you're going to discharge, or which you said, which way to get, or see, national administration of the port where the discharge is going to take place will be port state. So this is a third competent authority, or can be called the competent authority, the third case.
सर एक बार फिर से बता देंगे प्लीज.
Okay. Okay. See, I said that there has been a question floating around. I just remembered as we were going along, that is why I'm mentioning it. And previously I said that ये एक separate अलग से क्लास तो होगी नहीं ओरल एग्जाम की. This is preparation for written exam, but I had promised, and I will try to keep up the promise, that in case I remember anything as a feedback from previous candidates, I will pass it on to you कि ये चीज पूछी जा चुकी है ओरल एग्जाम में. ठीक है, इस बारे में बात हो रही थी कि कार्गो वर्क इज स्टैंड अलोन फंक्शन. फंक्शन 2 somebody has said, which I agree. फंक्शन 2 इट इज अ स्टैंड अलोन फंक्शन. इसका भी ओरल एग्जाम होता है. फंक्शन 1, फंक्शन 2, फंक्शन 3, तीनों फंक्शन के ओरल एग्जाम होंगे. यू नीड टू पास ऑल 3 of them to get the certification done. Of course, apart from this MP1, you have to also clear MP2. So function 2 recognizes cargo work has got a oral question which I remembered just now, so I passed on to you. और उस क्वेश्चन में एग्जामिनर had asked the candidate that have you heard of competent authority, जिसका आंसर yes है from the candidate. Then he asked him who is can be addressed or who is a competent authority. Please remember, competent person की बात नहीं हो रही है. Who is a competent authority, ये सवाल उठाता है. So for this we were discussing 3 entities or 3 parties can be called competent authorities. Number 1, जो जहाँ पे लोडिंग हो रही है, जहाँ लोडिंग हो रही है वेसल की, उसका पोर्ट स्टेट कैन बी कॉल्ड, और नेशनल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर पोर्ट कैन बी कॉल्ड a competent authority. ये हो गई number 1. Please intervene if you are not following. Then the flag state of the vessel which is loading is called the competent authority. Second part, second competent authority, or you see either one of them can figure. So the flag state is also a competent authority. They might have their own rules, regulations for loading, discharge of a particular cargo that has to be followed. Then third competent authority could be the port of discharge authority, the port of discharge port state. He can also be called a competent authority. Together, all 3 of them can be addressed as competent authority.
सर क्लास में तो एक कॉम्पिटेंट अथॉरिटी है.
एक बात बताइए, चलो ठीक है, आपकी बात मान ली, क्लासिक कॉम्पिटेंट अथॉरिटी, आई एग्री विद यू. हु इज डिबेटिंग दैट? बट फॉर कार्गो एंड द डिटर्मिनेशन ऑफ regulations can be one of these parties, one of them. बाकी एक बात बताओ, you said rightly class is also a competent authority, right? पर एक बात बताओ, flag state किसके इर्द गिर्द regulations बनाता है? Who is governing the flag state regulations?
सही बात है, फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी क्लास को हम कहते हैं.
क्लास वो इनकॉर्पोरेट हो गया ना उसमें.
अच्छा सर, जैसे पीएससी होता है बल्कि के लिए, वैसे ही टैंकर्स के लिए वेटिंग होता है, सीडीआई होता है.
No, अलग है, सॉरी, अलग
वो भी तो कार्गो से रिलेटेड है ना.
वेटिंग इज अ कमर्शियल इंस्पेक्शन. Vetting is a commercial inspection of the tanker which you are talking about, whether that particular charterer is happy to load on this, or whether that particular charterer wants to hire this tanker. It is a commercial inspection. PSC is entirely different. PSC is entirely different. Vetting is entirely different. Vetting हो रहा है, एक charterer कर रहा है, to see whether he wants to hire this vessel as a charter, because he has his own regulation.
हम अपनी कॉम्पिटेंसी प्रूव करते हैं, तो बुकिंग भी हमारी कंपनी के थ्रू होती है सारी चीज़ें. बट वी जस्ट इनवाइट इंस्पेक्टर, एंड पीएससी तो सर खुद से कभी भी आ सकता है, तो बेसिकली वो कॉम्पिटेंट हुआ.
नहीं नहीं नहीं, पीएससी का और वेटिंग का हम फर्क देख रहे थे. पीएससी इंस्पेक्टर इज बेसिकली कमिंग इन फ्रॉम द पोर्ट, maybe load port or discharge port. He is coming in from the port. Now उसका ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या है? अच्छा एक बात सुनो, आप लोगों ने टैंकर्स पे काम किया है, वेटिंग इंस्पेक्शन की होगी. वेटिंग इंस्पेक्शन किस लिए होती है? व्हाट इज द पर्पस ऑफ वेटिंग इंस्पेक्शन?
सर कार्गो मिलने के लिए,
सर
ताकि
कार्गो
हमें
नेक्स्ट
कार्गो मिल
कार्गो अच्छे से मिल
So,
जाए। और सर उसमें एक और डिफरेंस भी होता है सर, वो डिटेन नहीं कर सकते, पीएससी डिटेन कर सकते हैं।
नहीं, एक सेकंड, धीरे धीरे चलते हैं. लेट मी फिनिश. वेटिंग इंस्पेक्टर जो है, somebody is rightly pointed out, is done to see charter hire, कि ये वैसे हमने लेनी है चार्टर पे या नहीं, ये ठीक है. In short, in very short, inspection to see that this vessel can be hired as charter for this particular inspector of vetting, right? So can I say it is a commercial inspection,
या कम्प्लीटली.
right? Now, you compare this with a PSC, port state control. What is the purpose of port state control? Even without going in any details, in one line, what is the purpose of port state control?
सर सेफ रहे जहाज उनके पोर्ट में, सो दैट ना वो डैमेज हो ना हम डैमेज हो.
Very rightly said. Very rightly said. The total objective of PSC, in very short one line, is that they want to eradicate the PSC of any port, port state control of any port wants to eradicate the use of substandard ships visiting their port. This is not commercial at all. For them, it does not matter whether you are off hire or not. I mean, off hire due to vetting or not. That is not their concern. They are visiting your vessel to see that your ship is not going to create any danger to the port for which they are responsible, means by MARPOL, by SOLAS, four pillars: MARPOL, SOLAS, STCW, and MLC. In case there is no concern regarding this vessel, so that the ship will keep the port safe. That is their concern. प्लीज से समथिंग, अगर आपको ये समझ आ गया तो ठीक है. दिस वाज बियॉन्ड आवर डिस्कशन, बट नो हार्म. वेटिंग इज कमर्शियल, पीएससी इज ऑल्सो ऑफिशियल. द ऑब्जेक्टिव ऑफ पीएससी इज टू eradicate, and you can quote unquote this, eradicate the use of substandard ships visiting their particular port, or stop the use of substandard ships calling that port. Now please, we don't want to go deep into it, but since we are on the topic, आप लोग में कोई phase 2 करेगा क्या immediately? That will be really good, because this is a topic from phase 2.
करेंगे सर.
आ जाओ. Now what I'm saying is that if a vetting inspection fails in a port, ठीक है, ये commercial inspection है, it has failed, let us say, then please understand, although PSC is not concerned, this report will go to them. This is made worldwide. ये सबको पता लग जाता है. Then, following this, if you have a PSC, he will be more stringent, because he is aware that a vetting inspection has failed. So now he knows there's something wrong. तो उसका जो व्यू पॉइंट है वो और एनहांस हो जाएगा. He will now examine you even more stringently, although it should not matter, since the only thing when you have failed a vetting inspection is that you will not get cargo. But PSC will now take a different view of this. They will like to inspect you more stringently to see कि और चीज तो नहीं है. Is the vessel safe? Why is the vetting failed? ये उनके दिमाग में आ जाएगी बात. ठीक है, चलो, we drop this one because we cargo करना है. ठीक है. Anyway, do you have anything in mind? Please raise. Don't worry at all. I'm here to talk with you for anything which you feel. कार्गो वर्क में बाकी ये देखो, ये चीज़ें उठती रहेंगी. Off and on, we will come across these topics, because I believe you are at the management level, and I just cannot skip things which I know, which I feel you should know. I will pass on to you. So now, the shipper has to provide you with a declaration which is called MSDS. Do you understand that? MSDS का नाम सुना है आपने? I'm sure you have heard of it. MSDS.
Material safety data sheet.
Correct. Which is to be provided. To be provided for each cargo you are loading, especially the bulk cargo. MSDS. I think you can see this MSDS. be provided with by the shipper, right? And when this is provided by the shipper, then he is going to declare about the cargo suitability, also the requirements from the code, which is this code, IMSPC. Plus, he is going to declare in the MSDS material safety data sheet that fines and small particles, which have been described as to up to 6.35 mm in size, are not more than 5% by weight in the cargo. We had talked about this. So if you're loading 100 tons of cargo, then fines and small particles should not be more than 5 tons inside the cargo, and that the moisture content is less than 1%. तीन चीजें शिपर ने डिक्लेयर करनी है, हमने दो ही देखी है. वन, fines and small particles are less than 5% by weight, moisture content is less than 1%, and temperature of the cargo is not exceeding 65 degrees Celsius. ये तीनों चीजें डिक्लेयर होंगी फ्रॉम द शिपर. This has to come from the shipper declaration because this causes concern. So, quantity of fines and small particles should not be more than 5%, moisture content should be less than 1%, and temperature of the cargo is not exceeding 65 degrees Celsius. ये तीनों precautions हो गई from MSDS. ठीक है जी, we go on. Then, to move on, loading. This cargo shall not be loaded when the temperature monitored is in excess of 65 degrees Celsius, which is requirement. If it is more than 65 degrees Celsius, the temperature of the cargo to be loaded. If it is more than this, it cannot be loaded. Or if the moisture content is in excess of 1%, or if the quantity of fines and small particles exceed 5% by weight, then the cargo cannot be loaded. अच्छा, एक बात बताएं, while we were talking about PSC, let me assure you that if you are loading bulk cargo, especially bulk cargo, because we are taking a topic on DRI which is going to be loaded in bulk cargo, then if PSC happens to visit your ship, the first thing they're going to ask you, first thing you understand, they're definitely going to ask you that where is the MSDS? They want to see that. They want to see the MSDS. Let me assure you, if you cannot produce approved MSDS from the shipper, your ship can be detained. Then there is a breach of the PSC. You have to produce a MSDS. अगर आपके पास नहीं है, you see, I'm giving you a guideline because you're going to be chief officer and you're going to be chief officer on any foreign going ship. So if in case you land up on a bulk carrier, please remember, and you've never done a bulk carrier, you have worked on tankers only, please remember, if you're loading bulk cargo, you need a MSDS from the shipper. If not, then you have to insist upon it. So much so that on non-production of MSDS from the shipper, you can actually stop loading. Otherwise, just in case MSDS any or PSC inspection शुरू हो जाता है, your ship can be detained.
सर टैंकर्स वगैरह पे नहीं चाहिए क्या ये?
No, really speaking, टैंकर पे IMSBC नहीं लगता. It is for solid bulk cargo. You remember IMSBC? Anyway.
नहीं सर,
MSDS का कुछ वो MSDS का कुछ टाइम पीरियड भी होता है ना, 5 साल के बाद वो नई लेनी पड़ती है, मतलब दूसरी वैलिडिटी होती है ना उसकी.
नहीं देखिए भाई, ऐसा सुने, एक मिनट, कौन बोल रहा है? A very valid question raised. कौन बोल रहा था?
सर शुभम.
शुभम. शुभम, प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड, MSDS की वैलिडिटी नहीं होती. मींस ये जो टेम्परेचर की बात कर रहे हैं कि 65 डिग्री सेल्सियस से ऊपर नहीं होना चाहिए, ये MSDS से में आएगा डिक्लेरेशन में, राइट? It should not be in excess of 65 degrees Celsius. So, how can you say this, that this is going to be valid for 5 years?
नहीं सर, ये नहीं बोल रहा हूँ मैं ये बोल रहा हूँ कि MSDS पे एक डेट लिखी होती है, एक ईयर लिखा होता है कि किस ईयर में वो MSDS पब्लिश हुई है. तो वो
correct.
ये वो
और
5
उसके
साल के
साथ
बाद
साथ नहीं 5 साल इज नॉट जेनेरिक थिंग कि हर MSDS में 5 साल होगा. उसके साथ साथ उसमें लिखा होगा वैलिड टिल, and this will be something like maybe 15 days, 30 days or 1 month. You know, it cannot last for 5 years. 5 years, 5 साल नहीं हो सकता. Because things will change. ये अच्छा कार्गो रखा कहाँ पे? अगर ऐसी बात भी है तो जस्ट इफ वी स्टार्ट यूजिंग आवर लॉजिक, कार्गो कहाँ पे स्टोर है जिसके लिए MSDS की बात हो रही है?
होल्ड
सॉरी,
में रखा है सर.
नहीं, बिफोर लोडिंग. बिफोर लोडिंग तभी तो MSDS चाहिए ना तुम्हें. एक बार लोड कर दिया फिर क्या फायदा है? आई मीन कहाँ पे होगा ये? इट मे बी इन अ वेयर हाउस, it may be on an open stockyard. So the temperature, the moisture content, etc. is going to change. It is not going to remain like how it has been declared. It is going to change. So this cannot be done कि साहब 5 साल तक ये MSDS valid होगा, is not possible. It will depend on when it was made, and when cargoes are liable to liquefy from IMSBC, cargo which is liable to liquefy, right? इसमें MSDS is valid only for a particular period, because rain can affect the cargo itself, and you cannot say कि 5 साल तक valid है. So we will go more into this detail when we do IMSBC code, because each cargo has a different opinion from the competent authority. Okay, now, so cargo compose should be essentially of whole briquettes, means precaution should be taken. But if it is not that, then it should be loaded in such a way, dropping of the cargo from a height should be minimized to avoid breakage of briquettes and generation of additional fines, because fine cannot exceed 5% by weight. So do not drop the cargo is also recommended by MSDS. Do not drop the cargo from a height in such a situation where you can generate fines. It is prohibited. It is prohibited to generate dust and fines, particles which are less than 6.35 mm. It is prohibited. So briquettes should be carefully loaded, dropped into the cargo space so that additional generation of fines and particles does not take place. ठीक है जी. The fines and particles which are an integral part of the cargo, you cannot eliminate them. Some particles, fines, etc. are there. So when you are loading, this is also a precaution. You have to make sure that the cargo is evenly spread out along the tank top, so that concentration of fines and small particles does not happen in one place. It is spread out. Also, temperature during loading will be recorded and logged, and this should be done for each lot of cargo. Each lot of cargo means you are aware this lot is coming. Hold number 1 is suppose the one which is started. Then you see the hold number 1 half full. No, half full is too much. Let us say 1/3 is full. 1/3 is full. Then At this point of time, you monitor the temperature of the cargo, which is 1/3 full. Then you continue loading. When it is half full, again you monitor temperature at different heights, so that each lot is being monitored.
सर
And
सॉरी टू
हाँ जी
इंटरप्ट,
बोलिए
मैंने
बोलिए।
बल्क किया नहीं है सर,
हाँ
पर ये इसमें बल्क एरिया में टेम्परेचर कैसे लेते हैं कार्गो का? आई मीन
ओके,
होल्ड में कुछ सेंसर होता है?
both ways. There could be a tube, there could be a contraption running into the hole from where you can monitor. A separate, you know, opening is there where you lower the thermometer, possible. Or the best method where you do not have such a fitting for monitoring the temperature, you can lower the temperature probe from what is called the bilge sounding pipe. Although you have not done the bulk carrier, I agree, but you will be knowing what is a bilge in the
Yes
hold,
sir, yes sir, that I,
right?
yes sir,
उसकी sounding लेने के
yes
लिए एक pipe है, which is called the bilge sounding
yes
pipe, right?
yes yes
तो bilge sounding pipe से आप अपना temperature probe या thermometer lower कर सकते हो.
okay
Bilge sounding pipe is running inside the hold,
yes
right? And then you can monitor the temperature of the cargo at actually different heights. Let us say a bilge sounding pipe is having a full height of 16.3 meters. So you lower the temperature probe up to 1 meter above the tank top of the bilge. Take the temperature. Now start lifting it up. And now you lower it up to 10 meters. Take the temperature. And of course at the top level. And take a mean of all these temperatures. That is the temperature of the cargo. This can be done. This is also a method used in case you do not have a dedicated temperature probe pipe. Then this can be used to monitor the temperature of the cargo. You get my point?
yes sir, understood.
Okay, okay. Okay. Anything else? I mean, we are still continuing, but regarding the temperature, you had an issue. Of course, I fully agree. You see, if you have not done a bulk area, it makes difficult to imagine. But as we go along, I'm going to show you during bulk area damages, etc., some photographs which will tell you or give you an idea of what is a bulk area. Right now, this was slide 11, loading. Okay. Okay. Now, what is going to happen is this. We are going to stop for a minute, and not a minute. We are going to stop till 10:15, 1015, and we meet again. Kit Kat break. We stop here and meet again at 1015. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
थोड़ा एकदम रखिए। चलाना डिग्री उठ जाके करना है।
So we can proceed further. Shared screen should be possible. The first point is during precautions that a carrier nominated technical person, which could be, keep it simple, the chief officer, should have a reasonable access to stockpiles and loading installations for inspection. Why is this so? This particular technical person or appointed technical person or chief officer should have access so that he can monitor the location of the cargo, exposure to weather, and the temperature even before loading. He can access it. So he should have, this is under precaution, he should have an access to the stockpile. Of course, the shipper has to provide comprehensive information, this is by MSDS, and also any safety procedures to be followed in event of emergency. So in any case, it is very clearly mentioned that in case of emergency, you have to contact the shipper also. Emergency could include fire, emergency could include the emission of hydrogen to a dangerous level. Ballast tank should be kept empty adjacent to the cargo space so that you are avoiding any chance of any ingress of water by any kind because highly reactive to water, especially saline water. To avoid that, ballast tanks adjacent to the cargo spaces should be kept empty or so far as possible should be kept empty. Integrity of the weather deck closures, hatch covers for both weather tightness should be maintained throughout the voyage. It's also a precaution. Ensure integrity and weather tightness of the hatch cover or hatches during the voyage. Now this particular cargo has a issue about dust emission. A lot of dust is emitted while loading and discharging both. So precaution has to be taken to protect machinery, equipment, accommodation spaces, aerials, radar aerials, etc., communication equipment from dust. Personal protective equipment by way of PPE for anybody who is getting exposed to the dust of the cargo should be maintained. Protective clothing, goggles, dust eye protection, dust filter mask, etc. should be employed for any person, shipboard person who is dealing with this cargo, maybe keeping a deck watch or keeping a cargo watch. He should have all the PPE to protect himself from eye and ingress by breathing by dust filter mask. No smoking, of course, is a very important point because this cargo can emit hydrogen, which is explosive. The cargo is non-explosive, but the emission of hydrogen makes it dangerous. Now, because the cargo has got a reduction of caused by removal of oxygen from it, therefore, as we had discussed even yesterday, this has an affinity for oxygen. It has a tendency to absorb oxygen. Then that is okay, the cargo will absorb oxygen but it will make the space, the cargo space, oxygen depleted. It will have a lesser concentration of oxygen in the space. That makes it dangerous. Oxygen's depletion zone. And of course, hydrogen as a flammable gas can build up. This is another concern. So precautions have to be taken before entering cargo and adjacent spaces. As you are well aware, any cargo space by IMO guideline is to be treated as an enclosed space. So all guidelines, your own checklist, SMS checklist for enclosed space entry has to be followed. Not only for DRI, for any cargo, but we are looking at DRI because you may have an oxygen depletion zone and you might have a buildup of any flammable gas. Ventilation, only surface ventilation, and this has to be taken care by not directing air or carrying out for ventilation directly into the body of the cargo, because that will increase the oxygen supplied, which can give rise to any dangerous situation because the cargo has affinity for oxygen. If mechanical ventilation is being used, then the fans used for mechanical ventilation have to be explosion proof and also prevent any spark generation. If possible, use suitable wire mesh guards fitted over inlet and outlet ventilation openings. Obviously, ventilation should be carried out in such a manner that the gases escaping should not enter living quarters. Hydrogen concentration should be measured during the carriage by using detectors. You have special detectors. This should
सर
be
ये लास्ट
made.
स्लाइड, लास्ट स्लाइड दिखाएंगे.
Okay, this one.
यस सर.
Okay.
ओके सर, हो गया.
Okay. You should have a hydrogen measuring detector on board while you're carrying DRI. This detector should be available, should be part of your store. If not, then you have to order it prior you load DRI. The hydrogen measurement should be done. Not only it has to be done, it has to be maintained. The record has to be maintained. If by any chance the monitored hydrogen concentration is getting higher than 1%, 25% by volume, then appropriate precautions as prescribed by the shipper have to be taken. If not, then the shipper has to be contacted. एक ये चीज देखना, if you can follow and tell me what you understand by this. Concentration of hydrogen has to be measured and maintained. I agree. Recorded, kept. But why it should be kept for 2 years on board? Why it should be kept for 2 years?
सर अगर कोई क्लेम होता है या बाद में कोई इश्यू होता है तो उसमें रिप्रेजेंट करने के लिए सर, जैसे हम अपना सैंपल्स रखते हैं, कार्गो सैंपल्स रखते हैं.
सर बल्क कैरियर्स पे बाल्टिक सी क्वेश्चनरी होती है, उसमें भी जरूरत पड़ती है. लास्ट जो कार्गोज होते हैं उसमें तो उसमें भेजते हैं कि आपका क्या कार्गो है, कितना ये सब रहा है, उसके लिए भी रखते हैं इसे।
Okay. But especially for concentration of hydrogen, can you think why the record should be kept on board for a minimum period of 2 years? आपने डिस्चार्ज कर दिया. During the carriage, you have maintained the hydrogen level or you have monitored. Why the record should be kept for 2 years is what I was trying to talk to you about. Somebody has rightly remarked it is meant for claims, against
Claim,
claims.
yeah. Yes, sir.
Now, let us say that you carried the DRI, you discharge the DRI in accordance with all measurements taken, precautions taken. But after discharging, the warehouse where the cargo was kept caught fire by hydrogen. Now, claim should not come back to the ship that this has happened because the carriage was not okay. So, you are maintaining the record saying that while you carried, you maintained the hydrogen level and monitored it. This is the reason the record should be kept on for 2 years to avoid any claims done against the vessel. Obviously, presence of water inside bilges should be monitored because water is also a concern. It should not get into contact. The cargo should not get into contact with water. Temperature to be monitored. Again, records to be kept. Again for 2 years. Temperature of the cargo to be kept on board. Please remember I'm stopping purposely because it was mentioned that we go slow. That is why I'm stopping in between for you to note down or take a screenshot or whatever you feel proper. Discharge is again the same kind of precautions, cargo spaces not opened immediately and hydrogen concentration measured out prior to starting discharge. A fine spray of water may be used to control dust, but only a fine spray, and the spray should not be directed towards the cargo. It is only just a spray of fresh water to control dust emission. Now this fine spray you cannot apply to cargo which is going to be stored in an enclosed space because it is definitely going to get wet, creating a hazard. So it cannot be applied to any cargo which is going to be discharged and stored in a warehouse or is going to be transshipped. You understand transshipped? All the communication equipment, radar aerials, VHF installations, aerials of AIS, GPS, etc. They are all prone to dust which is going to be emitted from the cargo. They can be harmed by the dust. This. Okay, share screen. Okay. This is a photograph which is showing you the potential hazard of self-heating. Self-heating, cargo has been discharged into a trailer and then by self-heating it has caught fire. How does the self-heating actually take place? Did we follow that? Why is self-heating taking place? Of course it is a hazard. Self-heating can lead to fire. How can it lead to fire? Can you think? Why is this an issue? Self-heating हो गई, cargo fire हो गया. कैसे? As you will remember, we say the cargo can give out hydrogen, which is a flammable gas. So if the cargo is getting self-heated, the flammable gas hydrogen can catch fire. As you will remember, we have talked about it. The cargo itself is non-flammable. DRI itself, अगर आप उसके पास एक माचिस ले जाओ वो जलेगा नहीं, लेकिन उसमें से जो हाइड्रोजन इवॉल्व हो रही है, that can cause flammable gas, which is flammable and can cause fire like this. Why does the self-heating actually take place for this particular cargo? Why does it take place in the first place? Because the cargo has an affinity for oxygen and gets reoxidized. As you remember, it is a direct reduced ion from which oxygen has been removed. So it has an affinity for oxygen. While reoxidation is taking place, it can get self-heated. This is the process. Reoxidation process produces heat leading to self-heating. They can reach temperature up to 1000 degrees Celsius by PNI survey. Reoxidation process produces heat leading to self-heating. This is why you have to monitor the temperature of the cargo also. You see, this is the photograph of the self-heating of DRI after discharge, means loaded in the trailer, discharged from the ship. Self-heating taking place. Have a look at this test emission. And DRI suffering self-heating inside the ship, inside the cargo space itself. Going further, hydrogen is a concern because it is flammable, it can explode. And बोलिए, sorry, I did not get you. Say again. Pawan Bharadwaj. Regret, Pawan.
Sorry, sir, by mistake.
Sorry.
Sir, by mistake हो गया.
अच्छा. Okay. I understand. Okay. So to continue, now the thing is that hydrogen, when it ignites, it can explode. Now, so much so that this is a photograph which is showing explosion damage on board for DRI. पूरा हैज कवर ही उड़ा दिया. Such is the danger of hydrogen explosion by accumulation. Now, why it is happening is because if there is any moisture content or contact of DRI with moisture, it can lead out moisture will generate large amount of hydrogen. That can lead to explosion. When the DRI cargo comes in contact with moisture, it will emit. If I can use the word emit, it will evolve hydrogen. Now that hydrogen, when generated with large amounts, is going to lead or could lead to igniting and self-explosion. So much so that this one photograph is showing you how by a DRI hydrogen explosion, the whole hatch cover has been lifted off. So, a lot of us believe bulk cargo, bulk carrier, simple to carry, easy to carry, trade is easy, but really speaking, each bulk cargo has got its own issues also, which have to be taken care of. No cargo is easy to carry. But of course, it has to be carried. This is what we are paid for, this is what we are employed for. So, we carry it, but with precautions. Then, of course, another precaution or other hazard is dust emission. Dust is generated when the cargo is being loaded or discharged. So much so that dust can go and settle not only on your vessel, which is also a concern, but have had cases in the past where dust actually settled on another ship which was close by, moved, let us say, ahead of you or maybe astern of you, and dust from your cargo is going and settling on that particular vessel while you are discharging or loading, including the concern too giving rise to a claim against your owner. Such was the extent of dust emission that the other vessel on which the dust went and settled down claimed, made a noise, raised a red flag, informed the port, and it was instrumental in having a stop of cargo for a certain time because dust emission from our ship was causing a concern. Our ship, I'm talking of own ship, I'm not saying I was there, own ship, who were involved in loading or discharging of DRI, the dust emitted went and settled on another ship which was close by. Consequently, the port authorities intervened and asked the own vessel to stop cargo work. Right? So, this is again a concern which you have to keep in mind. We continue with precautions, and I would say, you see, there could be a misdeclaration, misconstrued by the shipper for the type of DRI you are loading. It may be done on purpose, it may be done by mistake, but there could be a concern, wrong declaration. For which purpose it is emphasized that the shipper includes the technical name, not any nickname for the cargo. He should declare it by BCSN. What is BCSN? Just for introduction. BCSN. What is it? I'm talking of this.
Bulk solid maritime code.
Sorry. Say again, please.
Bulk solid maritime code.
Okay. Okay. Just have a look at this. This is what I was referring to. BCSN. This is mentioned in the MSBC code and it is also supposed to be provided by the shipper. Technically, it means bulk cargo shipping name, proper shipping name. It cannot be named as a nickname. It should be addressed from the BCSN, proper technical name for the cargo, so that there is no confusion. You see trade names like this. Trade names for DRI can go like this. HBI fines, processed iron ore fines, Ornico Ramet fines, Ramets, sludge lines, fines, iron ore pellet chips, pond fines, dodos, mill scale. All these are nicknames, trade names. But the MSGS should contain what is called the BCSN, proper shipping name, which has to be addressed like DRI. Wrong category declaration, DRIA instead of DRIC. This could be by ignorance or confusion. This causes concern for us as the transporters of cargo. उनके लिए तो मिस डिक्लेरेशन हो गया, but we have to take precaution. By far, DRI-B is the most reactive. By far, it is the most reactive. By records, it is the most reactive. So you have to be careful for that. Liabilities are always there, even for misdeclared cargo, because the whole thing will surface around the vessel itself. So these are some precautions which have to be exercised. Of course, technically, we are not involved with the law part of it, but we have to be involved with the carriage part of it. So MSDS becomes a very important point. And for trusting the cargo, you have to see like this: who is shipping the cargo? Is he reliable? Is he trustworthy? Again, this will not come from you as mariner, but it will come from your company and your PNI club. Because PNI club is the one who is responsible for carriage of cargo and any accidents involving cargo. The PNI club is party to it. So, in case you are having a doubt, in case you are having a doubt for anything, you need to contact the local correspondent of your PNI club. इसकी बात हो रही थी BCSN, bulk cargo shipping name. The shipper has to provide you this, not the nickname. You see, this is also very interesting. It is possible. An owner may ask for a certificate from an independent testing laboratory to confirm what the shipper is declaring is correct. If he is having a doubt, or maybe if the owner feels that the shipper who is providing MSDS has got a history of wrong declaration, he can go to an independent testing laboratory and show and ask him to provide the MSDS independently and compare with what is being given to him. Okay. So maybe this is also an option that the ship owner who believes there could be a wrong declaration can go to a private lab and get the job done and compare it with the MSDS he's been provided with. So this is what regarding, anyway, we are still on the job regarding DRI, precautions, etc. Cleanup, of course, is there for making sure that all the things are done correctly and you do not have oxygen depletion, potential hazard. You may note down is one hazard for oxygen depletion. Dust emission is next one. Oxygen depletion, we had a look at it. This can be caused because a process has been involved by creation of DRI where oxygen has been removed from the cargo. So the cargo will have an affinity for oxygen and this will absorb the oxygen. So it will cause the oxygen depletion zone. Please note, direct reduction is a process by which iron content of ore is increased through the removal of oxygen. This is okay, but the potential danger lies that this fact is reversible. When DRI comes to contact with oxygen and moisture, reoxidation can take place. So that will cause oxygen depletion. Just treat the space like IMO recommendation as enclosed space and follow company SMS and checklist for entering any space which has been loaded for this kind of cargo. Treat it like an enclosed space. Self-heating, of course, reoxidation produces heat, can give rise to self-heating, and we have seen it can lead to something like this. This one, and maybe on board it can be like this. No, self-heating is a concern because reoxidation can take place. Once reoxidation has happened or is happening, it can give rise to self-heating. Reoxidation is accompanied by production of heat.
तो
हाँ जी,
सर ये
बोलिए।
कार्गो ऑक्सीजन डिप्लीशन भी करता है एंड सेल्फ हीटिंग भी करता है.
Say again, please.
सर DRI अभी जो आपने
हाँ,
लास्ट स्लाइड दिखाई थी दैट इट वाज रिटन एज ऑक्सीजन डिप्लीशन.
causes.
यस सर. सो हम जब ऑक्सीजन डिप्लीशन है और सेल्फ हीटिंग तो हम इसको हैचेस को क्लोज रखते हैं, वेंटिलेशन भी बंद रखते हैं. तो उसके बाद दोनों चीज़ें एक साथ हो सकती हैं ये लाइक ऑक्सीजन डिप्लीशन एंड सेल्फ हीटिंग आल्सो बिकॉज सेल्फ हीटिंग के लिए ऑक्सीडेशन चाहिए होता है ना सर.
ऐसा है कि जितना ऑक्सीजन अवेलेबल है कार्गो स्पेस में, although you had closed the hatches, right? Some oxygen
Yes,
is
sir.
still available. You have not vacuumed
Yes.
the cargo space. That is more
Okay.
than enough to cause or reoxidation. It is going to
तो
absorb
उसको
this.
तो ये कम ही कर रहा है ना, मतलब ऑक्सीजन को तो ये कम ही करता जा रहा है, डिप्लीट करता जा रहा है. तो ऑक्सीजन तो खत्म ही होती जा रही है एंड देयर सर्टेन पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम कि उसके बाद तो ऑक्सीजन इतना बचेगा ही नहीं कि वो सेल्फ हीट भी हो पाए उस पे.
ऑक्सीजन बचेगा नहीं. ओके, ऑक्सीजन डिप्लीशन तो हो रहा है. अब इसके आगे क्या कह रहे हैं आप?
ऑक्सीजन डिप्लीट है, ये ऑक्सीजन डिप्लीशन कर रहा है ये. एंड जब ये वो प्रोसीजर कर रहा है, जब इस प्रोसेस में है तो ऑक्सीजन तो बची ही नहीं उसके पास कि वो सेल्फ हीट कर पाए खुद को वापस, क्योंकि सेल्फ हीटिंग इज अ प्रोसेस ऑफ ऑक्सीडेशन.
Reoxidation.
यस. तो उसके लिए फिर इनको या तो लाइक कमिंग इन कांटेक्ट ऑफ मॉइस्चर और वाटर समथिंग, एट दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम इट कैन गो फॉर सेल्फ हीटिंग प्रोसेस.
Okay. I didn't understand. You are saying correctly, but what is the concern? ये पूछ रहा हूँ मैं.
कंसर्न ये है कि इसकी दो प्रॉपर्टीज हैं. जब हमने इसको लोड किया,
हाँ,
हमने कार्गो हैचेस को क्लोज कर दिया.
ऐसे नहीं है ना. Immediately थोड़ी close कर पाओगे. For loading, you will have to keep it open, right?
यस सर.
After completion of this hold, you will close it. But in the
Yes, sir.
meanwhile, it has come into contact with oxygen. The
Yes.
reoxidation process, if you'll agree, has already started, even though you close the hatch cover after loading. इस होल्ड में लोडिंग कंप्लीट होगी,
That
आपने बंद कर
process is
दिया.
already in progress now, because cargo, if it is was stored in the warehouse also or on the jetty also, wherever it was stored, oxygen is there. So
Right.
that process was already there. I'm talking about when we are carrying it after loading, then while on the voyage I'm talking about.
While on the voyage, जितनी ऑक्सीजन अवेलेबल है इन द कार्गो स्पेस प्रायर टू यू क्लोज द हैच कवर, वो अवेलेबल है उसके लिए, रीऑक्सीडेशन के लिए.
Okay.
That much is available. Of course, you are going to avoid, as we said, ventilation करोगे, then you do not direct the air for ventilation towards the cargo space. Cargo में ऊपर में मत करो. Avoid direct surface ventilation. You should not do. This is all to avoid the cargo getting reacted with reoxidation.
Okay, sir.
As far as possible, it is always, precautions to be kept in mind. Suppose you are the one who is loading DRI boxes, then this is a precaution you'll have to keep in mind, because reoxidation should not take place. If reoxidation takes place, it is going to give rise to self-heating. And also, if some moisture is available, even in the atmosphere, this can generate hydrogen, which can lead to explosion.
Okay.
This we have seen, very dangerous. Dust emission, of course. This is again something you will have to see and make sure that you avoid this, because as I said, practically there have been cases where DRI during discharge actually caused concern for dust emission to another vessel, not to one vessel, उसके में तो है ही, but it caused concern to the port and other vessels. So much so that other vessel informed the port and had the cargo stopped, because they were saying कि ये जो dust है, it is going to settle on my ship and how am I going to clean it? Because cleaning is also an issue. See, DRI, if it settles, even as a dust, if it settles on the hull, hatch cover, ship's main deck, etc., it will lead to what is called rusting, because dust है, iron उसके साथ combine करेगा and it will solidify. So much so, I will give you a feedback. I was not instrumental in loading this cargo, but I was there when the cargo was being discharged. In fact, I took over when the cargo was already halfway discharged. And so much was the dust that for next 3 or 4 months we were only cleaning the ship's deck, because the cargo settled over there, dust settled, solidified into rust, and we had to use rusty bus machines to take it out. So much is the concern. Okay, chalo. You have to live with it. For this you cannot refuse cargo, of course. So tell me what concern you have. Any question you want to raise regarding the DRI cargo? Anything coming to your mind? So can you note down the potential hazards like oxygen depletion 1, just to make a note so that you can expand it later on. Or maybe I can put it in a chat box maybe. Potential hazards. Oxygen depletion is 1. We have understood what, but just to keep it in frame so that you remember it. So
सर इसमें ड्राई शिफ्ट नहीं आएगा?
सॉरी,
इसमें ड्राई शिफ्ट का तो नहीं आएगा प्रिकॉशन?
ड्राई शिप
हाँ सर, ड्राई शिफ्ट।
मतलब कीप द शिप ड्राई, ऐसा बोल रहे हैं आप?
नहीं नहीं सर, कार्गो का ड्राई शिफ्ट जो शिफ्टिंग हो जाती है,
ओके, शिफ्टिंग नहीं, एंगल ऑफ रिपोज ऐसा नहीं है,
इसमें नहीं है सर।
इसमें नहीं है, इसमें वो हैजर्ड नहीं है
ठीक है।
बाय एसपीसी। लेकिन बाकी प्रिकॉशंस हैं जो मैंने आपको चैट बॉक्स में डाला, दैट इज नॉट कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव. Like as we said, that temperature has to be monitored. It should not be more than 65 degrees Celsius during loading and monitored. Then the issue about smalls and particles not to exceed 5% by weight, particles having been described as anything less than 6.35 mm. ये सारी precautions हैं. I think you have noted them down.
Yes.
You know, ये तो involved हैं, but what you are asking is not involved because that has not got an issue. It is not supposed to shift as such because of angle of repose. Controllable. Then, of course, 1 minute. I was just trying to see if I can pass on to you what is called the hydrogen meter. You are aware of that? ठीक है. Okay. अच्छा, एक बात बताइए, just to interact. What is the concern about the DRI Part C, which is byproduct fines, not to exceed 5% by weight? We have said this is a precaution and this has to be declared by the shipper. But why can it not exceed 5% by weight? The smalls and particles?
सर लोड डेंसिटी ज़्यादा है.
नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है. See, when you got excess of byproduct fine, what is going to happen? This is going to occupy space. So let us say you are loading briquettes, hot molded type A, you are loading. Now in between you have space and you pour this quantity of dry DRI Part C byproduct fines into that. Now this is going to happen what? This is going to create space for oxygen because smalls and particles will not occupy too much space. This is going to provide oxygen to be occupied in that space, and which is not permitted because you want to have minimum exposure of cargo to oxygen. So you avoid creating additional space into the cargo hold by increasing the byproduct fines because this is going to occupy less space and it is also going to occupy space in between hot briquettes. So it is going to give rise for a chance for reoxidation because oxygen is available. Right? Anyway, think about it. As I said, as a practical experience, this dust particles settled on ship's hull, hatch covers, etc. is very hard to clean because it solidifies as rust. Then it is something like you are watching rust settling on your hatch top. To clean that is a big issue. Big issue. So much so that you have to use mechanical tools, including what is called a rusty bus. I think you know about rusty bus, a wheeled one, rusty bus. That had to be used for cleaning the cargo which had settled down on the hatch covers and main deck. Rusty bus. Very tedious, very time consuming, so much so that half the contract we were doing only this, cleaning the DRI which had settled down on the deck and hatch covers. Out of very scanty crew, as you are aware, very little crew, half the crew was only doing this job from morning to evening. They were cleaning the hatch cover and the deck because it was giving a very, very sad appearance because it was looking as if the deck and the hatch cover is rusted, although it was only cargo. So dust also has an issue which you should keep in mind for practical purposes. So tell me if you want to raise anything for this particular session. We will meet again, of course, at I think 14:30. Yeah, 14:30. But till now, have you got an issue regarding DRI cargo?
Sir, I have one doubt.
Ji, please.
Sir, you were saying about this when if there are small particles, more oxygen will come, sir. I didn't understand that point.
Okay, okay. What I was saying was that if you are loading briquettes, you are loading lumps, right? You are loading lumps. DRIA you are loading. In between, if you pour small particles, then what is happening? It is going to occupy space in between the briquettes, in between the lumps, because it is not going to completely cover it. Small है particles हैं byproduct fines हैं, so it is going to occupy some space, but that space is still having allowance for oxygen. अगर briquettes हैं और उसके बीच में byproduct fines आ गए, so it is not going to occupy the full space because byproduct fines are very small. Then it is going to provide oxygen to those briquettes in hot molded and cold molded type B to reoxidize. That is why it is said that you limit your byproduct fines to 5% by weight.
Okay, sir.
Anything else? You're most welcome. But of course, we'll close this session, but we are always going to be there meeting again at 14:30. However, immediately, if you do not want to raise anything, then you can respond to the chat box. है तो कोई बोल लो.
आज बुधवार है, बुधवार है आज। अच्छा अच्छा, हाँ
अब यार शायद पकड़ करती है अभी जब आ जाऊंगी अब 4-6 महीने का पर हाथ लग।
अच्छा,
यार ड्राई क्लीन करती है एक बार की चमकेगी है अभी भी चमकाएगी बाद में पाऊंगा।
Thanks, Vandana. Thanks. Thank you, Vandana. Thanks.
लग रही है पर काम
Hi, phase one. क्या हाल है भाई? Guys, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Good morning, loud and clear.
Good morning. Good morning, beta. Good morning. क्या खबर? All well?
Yes, sir. All good, all well.
Fantastic. Great.
ये पटाखा लगा तो पता ना कब तक आकर के इतना ना जाके समोसा थोड़ा बना लेके अभी समोसा का कचरा गया ना तेरी ये लोग आप गए तो बाद ये लोग अच्छा चल रहे
सर
Yeah, tell me बेटा.
सर एक चीज़ पूछनी थी.
पूछो.
सर जैसे अपने को डॉक वाटर में कोई ड्राफ्ट दिया हुआ होता है और अपन को उसका हाइड्रोस्टैटिक ड्राफ्ट सी वाटर में निकालना होता है। तो फर्स्ट हम उससे, जैसे द प्रोसीजर इज दिस कि हम उस डॉक वाटर में उसका डिस्प्लेसमेंट क्या बोलते हैं, उस ड्राफ्ट पे वी विल कैलकुलेट द हाइड्रोस्टैटिक, फिर उससे हम टेबल में देखेंगे, then we will convert that into the displacement, then displacement will be again converted into the dock water displacement। फिर जो ड्राफ्ट देखेंगे वो पर्टिकुलर हाइड्रोस्टैटिक ड्राफ्ट सी वाटर में आएगा। पर सर जब हम डिस्प्लेसमेंट एक बार जब सी वाटर में चेंज कर रहे हैं तो इट्स नॉट, वही डिस्प्लेसमेंट पे सेम ड्राफ्ट नहीं हो सकता।
Class, are you there? Can I start now, or any of your friends are trying to connect? If you have any knowledge, let me know. Then I'll answer this question.
Yes, sir, you can start.
Okay, so basically a fundamental issue क्या है? ये issue इस particular statement का नहीं है, right? Fundamental issue जो ये है बेटा, ये है कि how do we get the hydrostatic particulars? Now these hydrostatic particulars are basically the tables that are made in the stability booklet or provided in the stability booklet are for seawater. That means the displacement which is given there, if that is the displacement in seawater, then those hydrostatic particulars shall hold good. Now if the vessel is floating in a water of some other density other than seawater, then obviously you'll have to be little careful. Okay, and once you understand as to what care is to be exercised, you need to understand the logic and the rationale behind it rather than trying to mug it up, because there are, I can say these 3-4 steps, mug it up, execute, you will get the result. But it's always better to know exactly what you're doing, and then you want to have the steps like a drill, it's fine. देखिए hydrostatic particulars में there are 2 categories. In fact, that is the next video which is lined up soon. It will be in about 10 days. I'll release this video on hydrostatic draft and hydrostatic particulars. So that is the one I'll start working upon from today. There are 2 types of particulars, beta. One is the particular which only depends on the form which is under the water. That means maybe the shape and the size of the underwater volume, or maybe the shape and size of the water plane area, right? So there are certain particulars which depend only on कि पानी के नीचे कितनी वॉल्यूम है, उस वॉल्यूम का शेप क्या है, या वाटर प्लेन एरिया शिप का शेप कैसा है और उसका वाटर प्लेन एरिया कितना है। जितने भी पर्टिकुलर सिर्फ इस चीज पे डिपेंडेंट होंगे, ओनली ऑन दिस, नाउ आई एम सेइंग ONLY ओनली, the ones which depend only on these 2 parameters, obviously for them what is important for them is कि कितनी अंडर वाटर वॉल्यूम है, अगर वो अंडर वाटर वॉल्यूम पे डिपेंडेंट है, या कितना वाटर प्लेन एरिया है अगर वो वाटर प्लेन डिपेंडेंट है। That means whether the ship is floating in sea water or fresh water or dock water, it will not make any difference, for the simple reason that the particular is not dependent on the density of the water. It depends on what is under the water or what is at the surface of the water plane area. So जितने भी ये particulars हैं, अगर ये सिर्फ अंडर वाटर फॉर्म या हल के ऊपर डिपेंडेंट है तो ये किस पे डिपेंड करेंगे? They'll depend only on the draft, whether the ship is floating at 6 meters in sea water, or the same ship is floating at 6 meters in dock water, or 6 meters in fresh water. I'm sure you'll agree with me कि तीनों केसेस में अंडर वाटर वॉल्यूम की शेप, उसकी क्वांटिटी, वाटर प्लेन एरिया की शेप, उसकी क्वांटिटी, they will all remain same irrespective of whether the vessel was floating in sea water or dock water, as long as it's the same vessel and it's floating at the same draft. Do you agree with this statement of mine, beta?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If at the same draft, then it will be same.
Correct. So this set of particulars, which is independent of density, will only depend on draft. तो draft कितना है पानी में, उसके ऊपर ये डिपेंड करेगा. अगर आप ड्राफ्ट चेंज करोगे तो ये particulars की value change हो जाएगी. Then there is another set of particulars which depend on draft, yes, but besides draft, why they depend on draft? Because they also have relationship with either the underwater volume or the water plane area. So that means that is as far as that aspect is concerned, they are dependent on the draft. But they also have the role of the density of the water in which the vessel is floating. So those parameters are impacted by two issues. One is what is the form of the underwater hull? That means in terms of volume or area, whatever is the need be. Secondly, what is the density of the water in which the vessel is floating with that underwater volume or that water plane area. ये वाले जो particulars हैं, जो कि मात्र 3 या 4 हैं, ये जो तुम्हारे 3-4 particulars हैं, ये ड्राफ्ट पे भी डिपेंड करेंगे और ये तुम्हारी डेंसिटी पे भी डिपेंड करेंगे. सो बेसिकली आपको ये समझना है कि ये जो कितने भी पर्टिकुलर्स हैं ये दो कैटेगरीज में आएंगे. एक विच इज ओनली डिपेंडेंट ऑन ड्राफ्ट एंड नॉट द डेंसिटी. द सेकंड विच इज डिपेंडेंट ऑन बोथ ड्राफ्ट एंड डेंसिटी. I'll give you a simple example. I don't want to eat the class into time into it. Would somebody like to? I'll only talk about something that we are talking about. How do we calculate the displacement? Simple formula displacement का क्या है जो कि आज मैंने वीडियो में भी अगर तुमने देखा है तो वहां लिखा होगा ये.
Underwater volume into
Underwater volume into density. शाबाश. Very good. Volume of buoyancy into density. Okay. So if we talk of displacement, as a hydrostatic particular, from this formula, do you agree that it depends on both of these? And what is this going to depend upon? I just said, what is this going to depend? Draft. So that means as far as displacement is concerned, it's going to depend on draft because the underwater volume shall depend on draft. And it will also depend on density. You can find density in the formula. So this is the simplest example of the hydrostatic particular, which is dependent on both the things. Let me give you another simple example. What do you think is the center of buoyancy? What is center of buoyancy, beta? As per you.
So center of buoyancy is the underwater volume का जो center है.
Geometric center of volume of buoyancy. Okay. आज मैंने वीडियो ध्यान से देखना, मैंने उसमें ना बड़ा स्मार्टली underwater volume और volume of buoyancy का भी डिफरेंस लेके आया हूँ, उसमें थोड़ा सा देख लेना एक बार. Anyway, it serves our purpose. Okay, if this is my ship and she's floating at a certain draft, let's say she is floating at this draft. So obviously this will comprise our underwater volume, right, beta?
Yes, sir.
अब ये जो underwater volume का shape है, size है, जो भी है, इसका geometric center तो एक ही point होगा, which will depend on this volume. And let us say here is the center of buoyancy of in this particular condition. अब ये बताओ, ये पानी fresh water हो, sea water हो या dock water हो. अगर ये draft same है, तो will the B shift because of change in density? Yes or no?
No, sir.
It will not. Sir. Right? चाहे अब मान लो, let us give value. Let's say this draft is 7 meters even keel. So ये जहाज 7 मीटर even keel में sea water पे हो तो भी इतनी underwater volume होगी. ये जहाज 7 मीटर under keel में fresh water पे हो तो भी इतनी underwater volume होगी. In both the cases, the geometric center will be the same, and in both the cases, the KB will remain unchanged. Correct, beta? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So KB is one example of the hydrostatic particular, which will depend only on draft and shall have no bearing of the density of the water in which the vessel is floating. Do you agree?
Yes, sir.
So हमारे through these two simple examples जो कि तुम अपनी अर्लियर नॉलेज के बेस पर समझ सकते हो. What have I tried to convey? I have tried to convey that hydrostatic particulars can be categorized into two categories. One which is dependent both on the draft as well as density, and the second one which is dependent only on the draft and does not depend on density. ये particulars हमारे कौन कौन से हैं बेटा? आपके टेबल में अगर आप देखोगे there are 8 hydrostatic particulars. उनमें से I list them. Against draft, if you enter, you have displacement, you will have TPC, you will have MCTC, you will have KB, किसी में VC भी लिख देंगे, vertical center of buoyancy, so KB, and this is same. Then you will have LCF, LCB, LCF, KMT and KML. कितने हो गए? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. ये 8 हमारे हाइड्रोस्टैटिक पर्टिकुलर्स हैं. इनमें से इसकी यूनिट होती है मीटर, 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 इसकी यूनिट होती है मीटर. अब मैं तुम्हें शॉर्टकट बता रहा हूं. डिस्प्लेसमेंट की यूनिट्स होती हैं टन्स. TPC by name is tons per centimeter. Moment to change trim, moment will be ton meter and change of 1 centimeter. These will be the units of these 3 particulars. इनमें से जितने particulars में यूनिट में टन आता है, either standalone or in combination, these particulars depend both on density and draft. So they depend on both aspects. The remaining particulars whose unit is only meters, they do not depend on density, they only depend on draft. Is this issue clear in the first place, beta? Clear?
Yes, sir, clear.
Okay. Now we come to the issue of how do we get the hydrostatic particulars when draft is given in water of density other than seawater, and when the displacement is given, how do we address this issue? Now let us say here is, let's say dock water, or let's say fresh water, or dock water ले लेते हैं. Let's say dock water of density 1.005. The ship is floating here at, let us say 6 meters. मैं सारे even keel condition ले रहा हूँ because high draft तुम निकाल ही लोगे. That's not the issue. Let us say she is floating at draft of 6 meters even keel. That means high draft is 6 meters. Now I want her hydrostatic particulars. कौन से particulars चाहिए मुझे? Displacement, TPC, MCTC, KB, LCB, LCF, 2 2 4 2 6, KML and KMT. अब ये बताओ मेरे को बेटा, मुझे इस जहाज के particulars चाहिए when she is floating at 6 meters in dock water. If the same ship is floating in sea water at a draft of 6 meters, same ship floating at a draft of 6 meters in sea water, ये ship condition 1 और condition 2 में इस लिस्ट में से कौन से particulars सेम होंगे, कौन से particulars डिफरेंट होंगे?
तो KB LCF
पहले 3 सेम होंगे.
तो दैट मींस ये वाला जो सेट है
ये
जो
सेम है.
यहाँ होगा वही इसकी वैल्यू यहाँ होगी. करेक्ट?
यस सर.
करेक्ट. इसका हमें क्या पता है? हाँ, हमें क्या पता है कि हमारे जो हाइड्रोस्टैटिक टेबल्स हैं, बार बार जो हमें कहा जा रहा है कि माय हाइड्रोस्टैटिक टेबल्स आर मेड फॉर सी वाटर. So what will I do? With the same draft, I'll enter the hydrostatic tables. और मैं लिखूंगा कैसे इसको? देखिए ऐसे लिखूंगा. आप सारी प्रॉब्लम्स आपके खत्म हो जाएंगे अगर आप ये एक कॉलम हाइड्रोस्टैटिक पर्टिकुलर्स के आगे इंसर्ट कर दो डेंसिटी का. मैं क्या करूंगा फिर? ड्राफ्ट, लेट मी राइट देम हियर लाइक दिस द वे आई विल राइट, बिकॉज नाउ इसमें फेज 1 में आप एक एक की इंटरपोलेशन नहीं दिखाओगे. इंटरपोलेशन हैज टू बी ऑन द रन ऑन द कैलकुलेटर. इधर तो वैल्यूज आएंगी सिर्फ वर्किंग में. सो ड्राफ्ट TPC, MCTC, KB, LCB, LCF, KMT, and KML. Now, when I enter the tables given to me at 6 meters draft, would the particulars be for seawater, freshwater, or dock water when I'm entering the tables?
Come again, sir. So when we are entering the
If
table,
it's 6 meters draft, when I enter the hydrostatic tables provided to me, the particulars that I shall obtain from the table, would they be for which density would they be for?
Seawater density.
Sea water is
1.025.
correct. तो इसका मतलब ये जो मेरी डेंसिटी है सी वाटर, ये 6 मीटर ड्राफ्ट पे, और बेटा एक डिस्प्लेसमेंट और रह गया, लेट मी जस्ट पुट डिस्प्लेसमेंट आल्सो, आई फॉरगॉट डिस्प्लेसमेंट, डेंसिटी, ड्राफ्ट एंड डेंसिटी. सी वाटर 6 meters ड्राफ्ट पे आई विल एंटर द टेबल्स व्हिच आर गिवन टू मी, और वहां से मैं जो भी ये पर्टिकुलर्स उठाऊंगा, डू यू एग्री दे विल बी फॉर 6 meters इन सी वाटर, यस और नो?
Yes, sir.
yes, sir.
Okay. What do I need? I don't need for seawater. I need for dock water. I will convert these particulars into particulars for dock water. At which draft? 6 meters, because my ship is floating at 6 meters in dock water. And we have just said that this will not change. So I'll repeat this as it is. This will not change. Why? Because this is not dependent on density. And all these 5 particulars here do not undergo any change. So they remain as it is. Understood? So we repeat them here. Don't leave them there. Repeat here, because this is what we are going to use ultimately. These are the hydrostatic particulars of vessel drawing 6 meters in dock water. तो ये values को हम ऐसे ही या नीचे repeat कर देंगे. Understood बेटा? Now these 3 particulars, 1, 2, and 3, they will need to be modified for dock water. Why? Because these particulars depend on the density, and I'll just show you how we do it for displacement, and it is the same process for the other 2 also. देखिए, you just said displacement is equal to underwater volume into density. So अगर मैं सी वाटर में डिस्प्लेसमेंट ले लूं जो यहां होगा, ये वाली, so मेरी सी वाटर डिस्प्लेसमेंट जो है, displacement in sea water at 6 meters draft will be equal to underwater volume at 6 meters irrespective of density. Correct, beta?
Yes, sir.
Multiplied by density of sea water. Do you agree? This formula gives me this.
Yes, sir.
So what does this give me? It gives me underwater volume at 6 meters draft, irrespective of the density of the water, will be equal to displacement in sea water divided by density of sea water, which is 1.025. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So this is the underwater volume which you obtain by doing this. Correct, beta?
Yes, sir.
Why this? Oh, you obtain actually in sea water, but since it's the same ship floating at the same draft, so this is the underwater volume in sea water, and obviously this will be equal to underwater volume in dock water. Why? Because the drafts are same, right, beta?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Underwater
sir.
volume will be same.
Correct. So what will be the density in this displacement in this case? In this case, displacement in dock water will be underwater volume at 6 meters. Let me write unnecessarily, though it's not required, in dock water multiplied by density of dock water. Correct, beta?
Yes, sir.
And what is the underwater volume? Underwater volume is displacement in seawater divided by displacement in dock seawater by density of seawater. So if I multiply this with the density of dock water, will I get displacement in dock water? Yes or no? At 6 meters. Correct? तो हम ये कुछ समझाएंगे नहीं अपने वर्किंग में, हम सिर्फ कैलकुलेटर उठाएंगे, इसको कैलकुलेटर पे डालेंगे, उसको सी वाटर की डेंसिटी से डिवाइड कर देंगे, डॉक वाटर की डेंसिटी से मल्टीप्लाई कर देंगे, जो आंसर आएगा 1 डेसिमल प्लेस तक उसको यहाँ रिकॉर्ड कर देंगे. दैट्स ऑल. इज दैट क्लियर बेटा?
Yes, sir.
इसी तरह से जो ये टीपीसी है, इसको यू विल डिवाइड बाय द डेंसिटी ऑफ सी वाटर, मल्टीप्लाई बाय द डेंसिटी ऑफ डॉक वाटर, whatever you get will be fed in here. Exactly the same way, same conversion process you'll apply
Sir,
to
up to 2
MCT.
decimal place, sir. Up to 2 decimal place.
बेटा
right?
बेटा displacement is up to 1 decimal place, बाकी सब 3 decimal place तक.
बाकी सब 3 decimal. Okay.
Okay बेटा. So this is, so these 3 will be converted, these 5 will not change, but I will repeat them here, and then I would always recommend make a box around it, because these are the particulars which you are interested in solving your question. Correct beta?
Yes sir.
So now if you are given the vessel floating at a certain draft in water other than sea water, would you be able to fetch the particulars, or you still have any doubts? If you have any doubts, let me know about this issue first. ठीक है बेटा, यहां तक कोई डाउट?
No sir.
Okay, very good.
No, sir.
चलो, okay. Now थोड़ा सा जो tricky है थोड़ा सा, let me take that also. There can be situations when you are given the displacement of the ship and not the draft, and you need to find the hydrostatic particulars. Okay.
सर
हाँ जी
ये
बेटा.
जो अभी समझाया है इसमें डेंसिटी भी चेंज हो रही है, जैसे डॉक वाटर एंड सी वाटर, साथ में दिस डिस्प्लेसमेंट इज आल्सो चेंजिंग.
नहीं, डिस्प्लेसमेंट तो जो डॉक वाटर, जो देखिए शिप की डिस्प्लेसमेंट कभी चेंज नहीं होगी. शिप की डिस्प्लेसमेंट चेंज होगी जब उसमें वेट लोड करोगे या डिस्चार्ज करोगे, अदरवाइज व्हाई शुड द डिस्प्लेसमेंट चेंज?
सर दैट्स ओनली वी आर कैलकुलेटिंग द वेट, वरना तो वो सी वाटर वाला ही ले लेते हैं क्योंकि ड्राफ्ट भी सेम है. तो
यार, there is a difference between saying displacement is changing. When you are saying displacement of the ship is changing, the displacement of the ship can only change when weights are either placed on board or removed from the ship, right?
Okay, sir.
So let's not confuse with the displacement of the ship. Displacement of the ship in a given condition will be only one value. That will depend upon the light displacement of the ship and the weights aboard the vessel. चाहे शिप कहीं भी फ्लोट कर रहा हो, चाहे वो ड्राई डॉक में हो, ग्राउंडिंग हो, सी वाटर में हो, डॉक वाटर में हो, जो डिस्प्लेसमेंट जहाज की है वो डिस्प्लेसमेंट जहाज की तो डिस्प्लेसमेंट ही रहेगी, उसको आप नहीं फूल अराउंड कर सकते, राइट?
ओके सर.
So what was your question with this, whatever I have just said? Now with this, what is your question?
सर मेरा जो शुरू में ही पूछने का मतलब ये था, अपन जब एक हाइड्रोस्टैटिक ड्राफ्ट से जब सी वाटर्स की टेबल में देख लेते हैं, उसका डिस्प्लेसमेंट ले लेते हैं, उसको अपन वापस चेंज करते हैं फॉर द डॉक वाटर, देन वी अगेन कैलकुलेट द ड्राफ्ट फॉर दैट डिस्प्लेसमेंट.
मतलब यार तुम अभी मैंने जो समझाया उसमें क्या कंफ्यूजन, मुझे नहीं पता. व्हाट इज द ब्रूइंग इन योर माइंड? जो मैंने समझाया अभी तुम्हें, मैंने 6 मीटर्स हाइड्रोस्टैटिक ड्राफ्ट पे शिप के पर्टिकुलर्स निकालने तुम्हें सिखाए इन डॉक वाटर.
Yes,
अब इस वर्किंग में बताओ कहां पे क्या डाउट था आपको कि 6 मीटर? अब मुझे नहीं पता, तुम्हारा बेटा कई बार क्या होता है, पता नहीं तुम्हारे दिमाग में पहले से क्या बैठा हुआ है, हो सकता है कोई गलत नोशन बैठा हो, which may you may not be able to express also. I don't want to get into. मैं तो ये समझ रहा हूं कि मैंने तुम्हें आज सिखाया है कि अगर मेरा शिप 6 मीटर ड्राफ्ट पे डॉक वाटर में होता तो मैं हाइड्रोस्टैटिक पर्टिकुलर कैसे निकालता. दैट इज व्हाट आई जस्ट एक्सप्लेन. अब इस प्रोसेस में बताओ कि आपको व्हाट इज द डाउट, व्हाट इज द कंसर्न इन दिस प्रोसेस. दैट इज आई ट्राई एंड एड्रेस दैट.
नो सर, आगे
तो पीछे का थोड़ी देर के लिए इरेज कर दो. हो सकता है तुम्हारे मन में कुछ चल रहा हो बेटा पीछे का. आई डोंट वांट टू से किसी ने गलत पढ़ाया होगा, नहीं, ऐसा नहीं होता, गलत कोई नहीं पढ़ाता. कई बार क्या होता है, ट्रांसमिशनल गैप्स रह जाते हैं. व्हाट आई से, व्हाट यू अंडरस्टैंड, देयर कैन ऑलवेज बी गैप. ओके, तो दैट्स व्हाई आई हैव डन इट ऑल ओवर अगेन. और अगर ये तुम्हें समझ में आ गया या इसमें तुम्हें डाउट्स है या तुम्हारा लॉजिक इसमें फिट नहीं हो रहा, देन यू आस्क मी इन कॉन्टेक्स्ट ऑफ व्हाट वी जस्ट लर्नड बेटा.
ओके सर.
ठीक है, पक्का ना? नो डाउट ऑन इन दिस पार्ट दैट वी डिड, राइट?
Yes, sir. All clear.
Okay, very good. The other type of situation that you can be encountered on ship or in exams or while doing the question is, मैं आपसे क्वेश्चन पूछूंगा, आप जो आपको पता है बता देना, गलत होगा कोई बात नहीं। मेरे पास शिप की डिस्प्लेसमेंट है सी वाटर में 10,000 टन्स। आई वांट हर हाइड्रोस्टैटिक पर्टिकुलर्स, और उसमें ऑब्वियसली पर्टिकुलर्स में इस केस में ड्राफ्ट भी हो जाएगा, तो हाइड्रोस्टैटिक पर्टिकुलर्स इस केस में हो जाएंगे ड्राफ्ट, देन डिस्प्लेसमेंट ऑफ कोर्स यू आर गोइंग टू एंटर विद डिस्प्लेसमेंट, एंड देन यू विल हैव द अदर सेट ऑफ पर्टिकुलर्स फॉलोइंग टीपीसी, एमसीटीसी, अगड़म बगड़म बगड़म बगड़म। You tell me if my vessel is drawing 10,000 tons. Now mark my statements carefully. My vessel is weighing or displacing 10,000 tons. With displacement of 10,000 tons, my vessel is floating in sea water. I want the hydrostatic particulars. How can I get it? Would somebody like to say?
सर नॉर्मल सर अपने हाइड्रोस्टैटिक पर्टिकुलर्स में देखोगे जो
10,000 टन के साथ एंटर कर जाएंगे।
हाँ जी,
जो
कर
वैल्यू
जाएंगे,
जो इंटरपोलेट करके वैल्यूज मिलेंगी वो
तो
हमारे हाइड्रोस्टैटिक पर्टिकुलर्स हो जाएंगे उस कंडीशन में। डज एवरीबॉडी एग्री विद दिस पार्ट फर्स्ट?
सर एक
Yes. आप बताओ बेटा, मैं दोबारा नहीं बोलूंगा, आप ये बताओ। मैंने पूछा कि 10,000 टन मेरी डिस्प्लेसमेंट है, मैं सी वाटर में हूं, मुझे हाइड्रोस्टैटिक पर्टिकुलर्स चाहिए। आपके हिसाब से कैसे होंगे, निकालोगे पर्टिकुलर्स? जो भी आपको आता है बोलो।
सर टेबल से देख लेंगे,
टेबल से डिस्प्लेसमेंट के साथ एंटर करके इंटरपोलेट करके सारी वैल्यूज लिख देंगे और वो जहाज के हाइड्रोस्टैटिक पर्टिकुलर्स होंगे। करेक्ट?
यस सर।
एनी डाउट्स ऑन दिस फर्स्ट पार्ट? कि
No,
if
sir.
the vessel is in sea water with the known displacement, then there is absolutely no problem. Tables can be directly entered with, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Now I'll change the question slightly. Ship is displacing 10,000 tons. Her displacement is 10,000 tons, but she is floating in dock water of RD 1.005. So वजन सेम है जो पहले था, बट पहले शिप सी वाटर में था। अब उसी डिस्प्लेसमेंट के साथ शिप जो है मेरा डॉक वाटर में है और डॉक वाटर की आरडी दी हुई है। नाउ गाइस टेल मी, कैन आई एंटर द टेबल्स? आई एम नॉट आस्किंग यू हाउ विल आई एंटर द टेबल्स, आई एम जस्ट आस्किंग यू, कैन आई एंटर द टेबल्स विद 10,000 टन्स डिस्प्लेसमेंट? yes or no?
No.
We cannot. Why? Yes. Because those tables would be for 10,000 tons displacement if the vessel was floating in sea water. Why? Because यहां पे मैं दो सेक्शन बना देता हूं। ये सी वाटर में 10,000 टन्स है, ये डॉक वाटर में 10,000 टन्स है। ये मेरा सेम शिप है। मैं आपसे एक क्वेश्चन पूछूंगा पहले। ये सेम शिप है मेरा, एक बार सी वाटर में, एक बार डॉक वाटर में। इधर में ड्राफ्ट D1 है, इधर में ड्राफ्ट D2 है। माय फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन टू यू इज D1 इक्वल टू D2? yes or no?
No, sir.
Oh, very good. Since the drafts are not same, हमने अभी सीखा था अगर ड्राफ्ट सेम होते तो काफी पर्टिकुलर्स तो सेम रह जाते। करेक्ट बेटा? 3 को छोड़ के।
यस सर।
और बाकी 3 का कन्वर्जन मैंने सीख लिया था। लेकिन इस केस में ड्राफ्ट सेम नहीं है, इसलिए हम 10,000 टन के साथ टेबल्स को एंटर नहीं कर पा रहे हैं। नाउ यू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाई वी आर नॉट एबल टू एंटर द टेबल्स विद 10,000 टन्स इन डॉक वाटर?
यस सर।
Because the drafts are not same. What do I want to know now? Now I'll rub out this part. देखिए, now my ship is in dock water. अब ये स्टेप अगर तुम समझ लोगे तो तुम्हारी सारी समस्याएं खत्म हो जाएंगी। ये मेरा जहाज जो है डॉक वाटर में 10,000 टन्स पे फ्लोट कर रहा है एंड शी इज फ्लोटिंग एट अ ड्राफ्ट ऑफ D1 या D डॉक वाटर, लेट मी से ड्राफ्ट इन डॉक वाटर। ओके, or let's call it D only. She is floating at a draft of D. What am I interested in? अगर मुझे मैंने अभी देखा था, आप शुरू में हमने क्या किया था कि अगर मुझे ड्राफ्ट पता हो तो So density does not matter. I can enter the tables, change whichever particulars need to be changed, and retain whatever is to be retained unchanged, right?
Yes, sir.
So that means मुझे क्या पता करना है? मुझे इस ड्राफ्ट की एक्चुअली वैल्यू पता करनी है, राइट बेटा? दैट इज माय बेसिक प्रॉब्लम राइट नाउ, करेक्ट? अगर ये ड्राफ्ट दिया होता डॉक वाटर में, तो अभी हमने सीखा था ना कि उसी ड्राफ्ट के साथ हम पहले सी वाटर के पर्टिकुलर्स उठा लेंगे, उनमें से जिनको चेंज करना है चेंज कर देंगे, जिनको नहीं चेंज करना उनको ऐसे कैसे रिटेन कर लेंगे, राइट?
यस सर,
यस सर.
So what is my problem? I want to know what is this draft when she is floating in dock water with a density, with a displacement of 10,000 tons. That is your basic problem now. Once that problem is resolved, issue is taken care of. Correct?
Yes.
आप प्रॉब्लम समझ गए? पहले प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट क्लियर होगी. प्रॉब्लम क्या है कि सिर्फ ये ड्राफ्ट नहीं पता, इसकी बजाय डिस्प्लेसमेंट पता है. अगर ये ड्राफ्ट पता चल जाता तो प्रॉब्लम ही खत्म हो जाती, राइट?
Yes, sir.
Now I'm saying imagine, I'm using the word imagine, with the same draft, if I put this ship imaginarily, with the same draft, if I put this ship in sea water, that means I imagine that I bring this ship to sea water, same ship, and I put her in sea water with the same draft as this one. My question to you is, would these two underwater volumes be then same, yes or no?
It's the
Yes,
same
sir.
draft, yes sir.
Correct. So here I know the displacement in dock water. I know the density of dock water. So this underwater volume of the ship in dock water, underwater volume will be equal to displacement in dock water divided by density of dock water. Correct, beta? This will be the underwater volume.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
जो मैंने imagine किया, imaginarily I have put this ship here. Would they have the same displacement also, or they will have different displacements?
Sir,
Different, sir.
Different displacements, because underwater volume तो same है, लेकिन densities अलग-अलग है, correct?
Yes, sir.
यहाँ पर जो displacement है, वो क्या होगी? This underwater volume. What is this underwater volume equal to? Equal to this one. What is this underwater volume? This underwater volume was displacement in dock water upon density of dock water. This is the underwater volume. And if this is multiplied by density of sea water, would this become the displacement in this condition? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Correct. Has the ship actually moved to sea water? No. We have just imagined कि सेम अंडर वाटर वॉल्यूम के साथ मैंने शिप को वहां डाल दिया. करेक्ट. तो ये जहाज की डिस्प्लेसमेंट तो नहीं है. डिस्प्लेसमेंट तो 10,000 टन था, तो 10,000 टन ही रहनी चाहिए जब तक कि उस पर वेट लोड ना करो या वेट रिमूव ना करो. तो ये जो डिस्प्लेसमेंट हमने निकाली, इसको हमने एक नया नाम दे दिया, बिकॉज इट इज नॉट एक्चुअली द डिस्प्लेसमेंट ऑफ द शिप. इसको हमने नाम दे दिया इक्विवेलेंट सी वाटर डिस्प्लेसमेंट. What is this equivalent seawater displacement? This equivalent seawater displacement is the displacement with which, if the ship was put in seawater, then she will have the same draft as the draft in the dock water. That is the equivalent seawater displacement. Have you understood my statement?
इसका मतलब इस डिस्प्लेसमेंट पे या कोई भी डिस्प्लेसमेंट हो जो इक्विवेलेंट है, उसमें दोनों में ड्राफ्ट बराबर होगा वेसल्स का.
Because that's what you just did, na beta? We have just calculated, used the formula and done it, na? So why should we make as try to summarize? आप बताओ. If you're not convinced, let me know.
Yes, sir.
Correct. तो अब ये बताओ कि शिप का जो डिस्प्लेसमेंट 10,000 टन पे होगा डॉक वाटर में, सॉरी नॉट डिस्प्लेस, जो शिप का ड्राफ्ट 10,000 टन डिस्प्लेसमेंट डॉक वाटर में होगा, would the draft of the ship be same if she is in sea water with displacement equal to equivalent sea water displacement? Yes or no?
Yes, sir. क्योंकि underwater volume same रखते हैं sir.
Yes, correct.
Yes, sir. Because underwater volume same रखते हैं ना.
So इसका मतलब जो इस डिस्प्लेसमेंट का ड्राफ्ट होगा, that is the draft of my ship here, right?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
So that means once I know this displacement, जिसका draft मेरे केस के draft के बराबर है, then once we know the drafts, we can enter the tables, ना?
Yes, sir.
तो सर ये जो इक्विवेलेंट सी वाटर ड्राफ्ट ये डिस्प्लेसमेंट निकाला है, वी हैव डन इट ओनली टू गेट द ड्राफ्ट इक्विवेलेंट.
We have done to get the same draft as the draft in dock water for the vessel in sea water. If the vessel was in sea water at the same draft, what would be her displacement is the equivalent sea water displacement.
सर आप ना कोई वैल्यू लेके सर इसके कुछ वैल्यू के साथ सर कोई एग्जांपल बता दीजिए.
बेटा ये कर दिया ना 10,000.
ये तो समझ आ गया सर, ये तो समझ आ गया.
हाँ
सर जैसे इक्विवेलेंट आपने ये लिया ना सर अभी,
तो वही तो बोला ये 10,000. तुम अपना कैलकुलेटर उठाओ और मुझे 10,000 टन्स की इक्विवेलेंट सी वाटर डिस्प्लेसमेंट निकालो. आपको सी वाटर की डेंसिटी पता है? नहीं निकालो. और क्या, और कौन सा वैल्यू चाहिए तुम्हें? Which value are you talking about then? You are saying ना इक्विवेलेंट सी वाटर डिस्प्लेसमेंट निकाल के दिखाओ, तो आप निकालो.
सर वो निकाल रहे हैं सर,
निकालो.
सर 980.5.
9 बेटा 10 से ज्यादा आएगा बेटा ये.
1025
सर 1019 1019.0.
ओके, अब देखिए, अब इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? सिंस यू वांटेड टू टॉक इन टर्म्स ऑफ वैल्यूज, लेट मी नाउ जस्ट टेल. सेम शिप अगर उसकी 10,000 टन डिस्प्लेसमेंट डॉक वाटर में हो या 10,199 डिस्प्लेसमेंट सी वाटर में हो, in both the cases the draft will be same. That is what I was trying to convey, right beta?
Yes sir.
जो मेरा शिप है अगर वो डॉक वाटर में, इस डेंसिटी के डॉक वाटर में 10,000 टन्स डिस्प्लेसमेंट पे फ्लोट कर रहा हो, या वही मेरा शिप सी वाटर में 10,199 डिस्प्लेसमेंट के साथ फ्लोट करे, तब दोनों केसेस में ड्राफ्ट बराबर होंगे. यस और नो?
Yes sir. Draft will be sir.
Yes sir.
तो हमारा मुद्दा क्या था? ये ड्राफ्ट ही पता करना था ना बेटे, बेसिकली.
हाँ जी सर.
करेक्ट. तो इस डिस्प्लेसमेंट के साथ 10,199 is the displacement in sea water. I can enter the tables with this displacement. Yes.
Yes sir.
उसके अगेंस्ट कुछ ड्राफ्ट मिलेगा?
Yes sir मिलेगा.
और वही ड्राफ्ट मेरा यहाँ होगा.
अच्छा.
Let us say this draft comes 6.210 meter. इसका मतलब the ship is drawing 6.210 meter when displacing 10,199 tons in sea water. The same ship, when displacing 10,000 tons in dock water, would also have the same draft of 6.210 meters. Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Correct.
Yes sir.
So now you know the draft of the vessel in dock water. Now you can find out whichever particulars you want here. Correct?
तो सर जब ये डायरेक्टली आ जाएगा, जैसे 6.210 ड्राफ्ट आ गया डॉक वाटर में, तो इसको अपन पर्टिकुलर्स में एंटर करेंगे, तो जो डिस्प्लेसमेंट है
फिर तो बेटा ये पुराना वाला केस हो गया ना जो हमने पहले किया था.
हाँ, तो फिर अपन फिर डब्ल्यू चेंज कर रहे हैं, फिर टीपीसी चेंज.
ये तो देखिए, जब 6.210 के साथ तुम हाइड्रोस्टैटिक टेबल में एंटर करोगे तो आपको डिस्प्लेसमेंट तो ये मिलेगी ना. जब इसको तुम चेंज करोगे तो ये वापस तुम्हें 10,000 पे ले आएगा. जब इसको तुम सी वाटर से डिवाइड करके डॉक वाटर से मल्टीप्लाई करोगे तो इट विल गेट यू बैक टू 10,000, which is your actual displacement, right?
सर आपका कहने का मतलब ये है कि अगर ड्राफ्ट दिया हुआ तुम्हारा डॉक वाटर में, तो तुम हाइड्रोस्टैटिक पर्टिकुलर के अंदर घुस जाओ, वहां से डिस्प्लेसमेंट लो और उसको डॉक वाटर.
This is what we did in the beginning ना. पहले केस में वही तो किया था.
हाँ जी.
इससे पहले केस में हमने क्या किया था? जो शुरू वहीं से किया था ना बेटा.
तो बेसिकली 6.2 पे हम डिस्प्लेसमेंट जो निकाला है इक्विवेलेंट वही मान,
वो तो यही डिस्प्लेसमेंट आएगी ना. आपने डिस्प्लेसमेंट से ड्राफ्ट निकाला, ड्राफ्ट से डिस्प्लेसमेंट यही आएगी ना बेटा
सर
सी वाटर में.
ठीक है,
सर
वही
सी वाटर
आएगी।
में आएगी, फिर उसको डॉक वाटर में चेंज कर लेंगे।
चेंज करने की द मोर यू प्रैक्टिस यू विल नॉट हैव टू चेंज। अगर चेंज भी करोगे तो वैल्यू यही आनी है, अगली बार से तुम चेंज करना बंद कर दोगे।
अच्छा सर ठीक है।
हाँ सर ये
अरे 10199 को 1.025 से डिवाइड करके 1.005 से मल्टीप्लाई करोगे, इट विल गेट यू बैक टू 10,000 ना यार, उल्टा ही तो कर रहे हो, रिवर्स।
यस सर।
हाउ डिड यू गेट 10199? 10,000 को पहले 1.005 से डिवाइड किया था, फिर 1.025 से मल्टीप्लाई किया था। अब तुम क्या कर रहे हो, इसको 1.025 से डिवाइड करोगे, 1.005 से मल्टीप्लाई करोगे, इट विल गेट यू बैक टू 10,000। यू विल स्टॉप डूइंग इट, देन यू विल नो कि ये यानी है करेक्ट।
सर ये जो क्वेश्चन है, प्रीवियस क्वेश्चन का दूसरा तरीका है ना। प्रीवियस क्वेश्चन में हमें सेम ड्राफ्ट पता थे, और इस क्वेश्चन में
इसमें अब तक हमने कुश्ती ये की है कि ड्राफ्ट निकाल रहे थे हम, राइट। वंस द ड्राफ्ट इज नोन देन इट टेक्स ऑफ द सेम कोर्स, राइट। यू आर एब्सोल्युटली राइट बेटा, पिछले में हमारे पास ड्राफ्ट था, इसमें जो अब तक हमने ये एडिशनल स्टेप किए हैं वो ये ड्राफ्ट निकालने के लिए किए हैं, राइट।
जी सर, पिछले में ड्राफ्ट था और डिस्प्लेसमेंट निकालना था, इसमें डिस्प्लेसमेंट पता है, ड्राफ्ट निकालना है सेम।
करेक्ट।
डॉक वाटर सी वाटर में जाके हमने जो उसमें ड्राफ्ट
जो
निकाला वही
इक्विवेलेंट सी वाटर डिस्प्लेसमेंट निकाली, उससे हमने जो ड्राफ्ट निकाला वही ड्राफ्ट इसका होगा, करेक्ट।
हाँ जी
जी
सर।
सर, इसमें हमने ड्रॉप वाटर से उठा के सीधा सी वाटर में रख दिया, हमने मूव नहीं कराया, मतलब कुछ कंजप्शन वगैरह कुछ नहीं है इसमें।
कुछ नहीं, ये तो आपने इमेजिन किया कि वहां अगर इस ड्राफ्ट फ्लोट कर रहा होता तो डिस्प्लेसमेंट कितनी होती। आपने सिर्फ ये कहा है कि अगर सेम ड्राफ्ट पे यहां होता तो डिस्प्लेसमेंट कितनी होती, बिकॉज अगर ड्राफ्ट सेम रख रहे हो तो डिस्प्लेसमेंट कैन नॉट बी सेम इन बोथ द वाटर्स, नो।
जी सर,
करेक्ट। एंड उसका नाम हमने क्या दे दिया, इक्विवेलेंट सी वाटर डिस्प्लेसमेंट, बिकॉज दैट इज नॉट द डिस्प्लेसमेंट ऑफ द शिप। डिस्प्लेसमेंट ऑफ द शिप इज 10,000 टन्स ओनली, राइट।
So that we only did to know what is the draft.
Correct.
And with draft we can interval and we can get the particular.
वो हमें ड्राफ्ट वो मैं हाँ तुम अभी तक मैं वहीं पे छोड़ रहा हूँ कि तुम ड्राफ्ट तुम्हें आ गया तो अभी शुरू में हमने पहले बात की थी ना कि अगर मुझे डॉक वाटर की डेंसिटी पता है और जहाज का ड्राफ्ट पता है, देन आई कैन गेट द पर्टिकुलर्स दैट वी लर्न जस्ट नाउ इन द बिगिनिंग इटसेल्फ, राइट।
यस सर।
तो देन माय प्रॉब्लम इज सॉल्व्ड ना बेटा। यस और नो?
यस सर, यस सर।
अभी ये बताओ तुम्हारे पास एमवी इनशिप के पर्टिकुलर्स पढ़े हैं नहीं पढ़े? मैं ओके नहीं पता नहीं सबके पास है नहीं, मैं तुम्हें ना एमवी विजय के पर्टिकुलर्स अभी ग्रुप पे डाल रहा हूँ, लेट मी सी।
सर एक बार आपने वो इक्विवेलेंट डिस्प्लेसमेंट की एक डेफिनेशन बोली थी, एक बार रिपीट कर सकते हैं?
डेफिनेशन कुछ नहीं होती बेटा,
जो आपने वर्ड से यूज किया
हमने हाँ बस यही कहा था कि इक्विवेलेंट सी वाटर डिस्प्लेसमेंट is the, as the name suggests beta, it is the displacement of the vessel if she was floating at the same draft in sea water. Same draft as dock water. If at the same draft she was floating in sea water, her displacement is termed as equivalent sea water displacement. That means displacement equivalent to the underwater volume in the dock water, right?
Yes, sir. Right.
It is the displacement equivalent to the displacement of the vessel when put in sea water with the same underwater volume or same draft as the draft in dock water. That is the equivalent sea water displacement as the name suggests, right, beta?
Yes,
sir.
Give me a second. Let me send you one sheet of MV Vijay. MV Vijay particulars. Okay. टीचिंग ऑनलाइन में ठीक है, वहां से डाल देता हूँ इसको। एक मिनट, लेट मी जस्ट। और जब तक तुम्हारे मन में कुछ और आ रहा है तो मुझसे पूछ लो बेटा।
सर एक और डाउट था सर।
बोल दो, तुम डाउट तो बोल दो, कोई बात नहीं।
जैसे जो डॉक वाटर में जो डिस्प्लेसमेंट 10,000 है, अगर उसी 10,000 के डिस्प्लेसमेंट पे वही डिस्प्लेसमेंट रख के हमें सी वाटर में ड्राफ्ट निकालना होता तो हम जैसे
तो भी इक्विवेलेंट
सी वाटर डिस्प्लेसमेंट
नहीं, अगर आप देन यू वुड से कि माय शिप इज डिस्प्लेसिंग 10 आप कह रहे हो कि नाउ हिज क्वेश्चन वाज, प्लीज पे अटेंशन टू द क्वेश्चन बिफोर यू गेट कंफ्यूज्ड। हिज क्वेश्चन वाज, if my ship has displacement of 10,000 tons and I want to find out her draft in sea water, is that your question?
Yes sir, sea water में भी 10,000 टन है।
अब सुन अब मेरी स्टेटमेंट क्या बन गई, मैं तेरी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर देता हूँ। then I don't worry कहाँ से क्या आया. Now I'm saying my ship is displacing 10,000 tons in sea water, right?
जी सर.
तो फिर क्या डायरेक्टली टेबल एंटर कर जाओगे 10,000 के साथ? जो ड्राफ्ट आएगा वो दैट विल बी द ड्राफ्ट ऑफ द वेसल इन सी वाटर. नहीं समझा. क्या क्या प्रॉब्लम बता. वेयर आर यू स्टक? लेट मी नो.
Actually, he started asking from the draft.
नहीं सर, मैं ये सोच रहा था जैसे आपने इसमें डिस्प्लेसमेंट निकाला ना, इक्विवेलेंट सी वाटर डिस्प्लेसमेंट 10,199.
बेटा जी आप ये कह रहे, देखो सुनो मेरी बात, तुम थोड़ी देर इसको भूल जाओ. तुम ये कह रहे हो 10,000 टन्स के साथ, अगर टन्स डिस्प्लेसमेंट के साथ मेरा शिप अगर सी वाटर में होता तो ड्राफ्ट क्या होता? दैट इज योर क्वेश्चन ना?
हाँ सर, समझ गया. वो तो डायरेक्टली हम घुस सकते हैं टेबल में. सही है.
तो मैं वही तो कह रहा हूँ ना. तुम इसको इतना हर चीज को इससे लिंक मत करो ना, दाएं बाएं से लिंक मत करो उसको. स्टेटमेंट को बिल्कुल बेसिक पे ब्रेक करके ले आओ. ब्रेक इट डाउन टू द बेसिक एंड देन टेक अ कॉल ऑन इट.
ठीक है सर, समझ गया.
किधर है भाई? टीचिंग ऑनलाइन में था. टीचिंग ऑनलाइन किधर है विजय का? एक मिनट, लेट मी जस्ट सेंड इट टू यू. लेट मी सेव इट. ऐसे आ नहीं रहा है. Okay, I have just sent you the particulars of one sheet of MV Vijay. Please confirm if you have received it. मिल गई?
Yes, sir.
Okay, please open this. हाँ, open this sheet. Okay. आपको मैं 3 एक्सरसाइज देता हूं और आप उसकी कैलकुलेशन इंटरपोलेशन 1 नहीं दिखाओगे. अगर कोई इंटरपोलेशन में डाउट है तो मेरे से पूछ लो, बट इंटरपोलेशन यू हैव टू गेट फेमिलियर विद योर कैलकुलेटर एंड यू हैव टू डू द इंटरपोलेशन, लर्न टू इंटरपोलेट ऑन द रन, बिकॉज अब इंटरपोलेशन दिखाएंगे तो हमारा क्वेश्चन कभी कंप्लीट ही नहीं होगा आंसर शीट पे. ओके, सबसे पहले आप लोग करोगे फाइंड हाइड्रोस्टैटिक पर्टिकुलर्स